Hello there, this is Dominic Steele from Christians in the Media and also from Village Church in Sydney. What we're doing is we're reading the Bible together and I'm taking you through the book of Numbers in the Old Testament. And today we're in Numbers chapter 11 and the Israelites, they begin to grumble. So Numbers 11 verse 4, the rabble with them began to crave other food, and again the Israelites started wailing and said, "If only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost, and the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions and garlic. But now we've lost our appetite. We never see anything but this manna." And the issue with the Israelites is actually something that happens to Christians today. I mean, the Israelites, they were saved by God, by God's generosity, from slavery in Egypt. Just like Christians today have been saved by God's generosity in Jesus from slavery to sin. And yet we get tempted to turn around and we get tempted to look back to life without God, before God, and think, oh, the struggles that I'm having at the moment, I mean, I'm free, but it's wilderness. It was better back in slavery, not back in slavery to Egypt, but slavery to the devil. I mean, we never quite put it in those categories, but sometimes we nostalgically yearn for our pre-Christian life of leeks and onions and garlics and cucumbers and melons and bondage. And what does God do? Well, he gives them what they want. He gives us what. He said, you long for meat, you long for back to Egypt, I'll give it to you. Verse 19, you will not eat meat for just 1 day, 2 days, 5, 20, but a whole month, until it comes out your nostrils and you loathe it. Why? Very clear. You rejected the Lord who is among you and have wailed before him, saying, why did we ever leave Egypt? It's very clear that in rejecting God's provision, the manna, in wanting to go back to slavery in Egypt, in longing for the melons and the leeks and the onions, they're actually rejecting God. They want to leave the presence of God. They want to leave the centre of the camp. They want to reject the direction that God is leading them to the promised land. They want to go back to Egypt. And it's actually the same today when we reject God in Romans 1. When we reject God, God gives us over. He gives us what we want. Romans 1:21. For though they knew God, they didn't glorify him as God or show gratitude. Instead, their thinking became nonsense and senseless minds were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools. They exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man, birds, four-footed animals and reptiles. Therefore, here's the judgment. God delivered them over to the cravings of their hearts, to sexual impurity. Their bodies became degraded amongst themselves. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie and worshipped and served something created instead of the Creator, who's forever praised. Amen. When we reject God, the consequences are awful. Now, I suspect something like that is happening in the public debate in Australia at the moment over sexuality. And if our nation rejects God, God will give us what we ask for. But the consequences will be devastating. Now, we want to ask God not to give us what we ask for, but to actually overrule and give us mercy. And we have an amazing precedent for God overruling and giving us mercy in Jesus. In that in Jesus, God doesn't give us what we deserve, but he gives us the precious gift of his own Son, who dies for us to win our forgiveness, our redemption, in his great mercy.